What's up? What's up? Welcome to Akon Podcast. Today we have the most beautiful girl in Guinea on the show by the name of Saran, Rihanna, Beyonce, something. I'm just kidding. Yo, Saran, welcome on the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to talk to you.
We're blessed to have you on.
And we're very, very excited to talk about what
Yeah,
you've been doing and life in Guinea, and everything you'd like to share. I think this is going to be a very fun conversation to have.
yeah, especially having it with you guys. I'm really honored and happy and excited. Like you said, I can't wait. Like this is the first time I'm doing this type of like thing, distance wise with the whole Corona thing. I think it's pretty fun.
It's gonna be good,
Yeah. Well, you do a lot of interviews, so I know you get the hang of it. This one should be a fairly easy one.
for sure.
Yeah, like distance, it's the first time, so I guess we can kick it from here. I don't
Right.
know.
So we'll do some parts in French and then we'll translate to English here and there depending on how comfortable we get. You feel me? Uh,
Sure.
again, but thank you for coming on the show. So I guess to start with, please tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience know who you are, who is Saran, what she's
Okay.
about, what's her mantra, what she's doing, where she's living currently, and then we could go from there.
Okay, so again, hi guys. Like he said, my name is Sahamba, and I am from Guinea, West Africa, Conakry, born and raised. I currently am between two cities. I'm between Montreal, Canada, and Guinea. I came back here about a year ago, trying to do some stuff, because we have to come back home and push as much as we can. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I am in the beauty industry, like as a model and also as a pageant girl, because I did Miss Guinea and I landed second runner up. And before that, I won the crown in Miss Guinea Canada that participated back in 2014. So I'm pretty much into beauty pageants and, fashion and, anything that elevates, I guess. So
Right.
yeah, I'm currently in Conakry, Guinea,
That's
which
awesome.
is fantastic because there's nothing better than feeling at home. I have my family here, like my mom and dad and uncles and aunts, and so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
That's very
Well,
cool.
that's a great introduction.
Thank you.
So you missed out this part. Tell us a little bit about what you studied, and I'm interested to know how you got into this whole pageantry and beauty industry.
Sure. So what I did, I went to Ottawa U in Canada, and I studied accounting. So my dad is an accountant, so I guess have to follow up that line. And but I guess I just chose that because I felt like I wouldn't be in need of a job and not be able to get it because at the end of the day, any company needs an accountant. So it was basically a safe choice, I guess. But I was always interested into I was always interested and curious about fashion, about beauty. And since I'm a kid, I used to participate in those litter pageant in my school and out here in the city. And then
Like
I
Kermesse
just
de
love it.
Saint-Georges, right?
Exactly. Les kermesses always be la mise de la classe and represent my class in the fair, I guess, of the school. And it was really fun. And, doing it every year, I just fell in love with it. And then I felt, happy to do this thing. So when I am on scene, on stage and performing or doing anything that related to that, I feel my best. I feel happy. I feel passionate. I feel stimulé, if I can say that in French.
Yes.
So that's pretty much it. And ever since I'm doing it, because what's life if you're not doing what you love to do?
Facts. Facts. Um, to go on that same topic, I wanted to like go back a little bit and ask you, c'était comment ta transition de la Guinée au Canada?
For me, honestly, it was not hard at all because the reason why I actually chose Canada is because my sisters were already there. So they were in Moncton. So when my dad asked me where I wanted to go for college, I was like, okay, Canada, because I knew it wouldn't be hard for me to adapt in that system because they already were there and they had their friends, they have their little routine. So I'll just go and swing in, I guess. So I went and then I became friends with their friends. They showed me around, helped me with like school and everything. Basically, I was just a little princess because they had experienced all that before me. So I
Right.
didn't need to, learn it the hard way because they were there to guide me. And
Right.
so that was pretty easy for me. And I already spoke English, so that was a bonus. So it
Mhm.
was it was it was really it was fun. I liked it. I really liked it.
That's good.
I'm
I wish you
forever.
had answered that in French, but that's good.
Ah, ok. Pardon. La prochaine question en français.
Okay, pas de
I'm,
problème.
I'm forever jealous about like the sense of community you guys have in Canada. It's amazing that like you guys always get together and like you were always like I came to the US obviously and it was
Yeah.
just so different because I always feel
Yes.
alone and then y'all are over there with an entire freaking village
I
of
know.
Indians and
Yeah. And we're
so,
always happy when you come around. It's like there's this part of the puzzle missing, and then when you come,
yeah,
it just completes because
that's true.
that's how it is. We're family driven.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
you
a
already
big
know.
important part of the puzzle.
You
Okay,
you are. You
let
are.
them
There's
know,
no fun
Sarah.
without you. There's no fun without you at all. She brings the fun.
Sometimes, yeah.
All the time.
Let me try this other question in French. Comment est-ce que on
Okay.
t'a introduit? That's not gonna work. How did you get introduced to modeling?
Comme je disais tout à l'heure, j'ai toujours été très intéressée à tout ce qui est beauté, tout ce qui est mode. Et je me suis toujours envisagée être mannequin, si on veut. Mais malheureusement, bon, malheureusement ou heureusement, je ne sais pas, mais les parents sont plus investis dans l'école. L'école qui est une très bonne chose, l'éducation est importante, donc j'encourage et exhorte tout un chacun à se focaliser sur ses cours et puis à se bâtir une vie parce que l'éducation, c'est vraiment primordial pour se développer personnellement et puis pouvoir vivre en société. Mais en dehors de ça, il y a certaines choses, certaines passions qu'on doit également poursuivre qui ne sont pas forcément liées à l'école. Donc, c'est-à-dire que tu peux combiner l'école et une passion tout autre qui va en dehors de l'école si toutefois cette passion-là ne fait de mal à personne. C'est-à-dire que tant que tu ne fais de mal à personne, honnêtement, je pense qu'il est important de suivre ces choses-là qui nous rendent heureuses. Et pour moi, le mannequinat, c'est quelque chose qui m'a toujours intéressée, dans lequel je me sens vraiment bien. Et malheureusement, dès le départ, j'ai pas su m'écouter personnellement et j'ai été un peu sous la pression et l'influence des parents en me disant que je ne pouvais pas suivre 2 lièvres à la fois. Donc, il fallait que je me focalise sur l'école d'abord. Donc, j'ai raté beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup d'opportunités de mannequinat comme ça. Et après, à un moment donné, quand j'ai fini mes études, enfin mon bachelor, puisque j'ai pas encore fait de master, donc j'ai pas encore fini mes études. Après mon bachelor, j'ai commencé à travailler et c'était vraiment un bon travail, si on veut, bonne paye, bons avantages sociaux, etc. Mais je pense que c'est la période de ma vie où j'étais le plus malheureuse parce qu'il y a certaines choses dans ma vie que j'aurais aimé pouvoir faire que je n'ai pas faites. Et je me suis dit, écoute, si tu peux travailler pour quelqu'un dans 10 ans si tu veux, mais il y a certaines choses, time is ticking. Il faut que tu te lances maintenant. Si ça marche, tant mieux. Si ça ne marche pas, au moins tu auras essayé. Tu vas pas te réveiller dans 10 ans avec des regrets. Parce que je me dis que la pire chose dans la vie, c'est vraiment se réveiller chaque matin en regrettant ses choix de vie. Il faut vraiment être à l'aise avec soi-même et les choix de vie que tu as pu faire. C'est sûr que des fois, c'est pas parfait, mais au moins pouvoir assumer les choix que tu as fait en toute conscience. Et du coup, je me suis dit, OK, j'ai quitté mon travail, puis je me suis lancée. Donc, c'est ça, j'ai essayé de combiner mes activités humanitaires avec le modeling, si on veut, puis en même temps, les beauty pageants. Et jusque-là, alhamdoulilah, ça marche bien.
Congratulations for
Thank
following your
you.
heart and your passion. You are
Thank you.
absolutely a trailblazer in our family, and like a lot of things are going to be different for other people.
Yeah,
Like,
I
can
hope.
see what you're saying because our parents are very focused on school, education, 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 and that makes
Yeah.
when we look at the time they were brought up, and also the opportunities. It's the doors it's open for them, but it's such a
Yes.
different century, and there's just a multitude of ways we can make money.
There
So
are so many things we could do. And
absolutely.
also, I do understand them. That's actually the reason why I at the time, obviously I was younger and I felt like my life wasn't mine, it was theirs. So they should be the one deciding. They're paying for everything anyway. So I was like, okay, I do whatever they want. But I feel like when they were growing up and then they went to school and, the country had just started being like independent in a way. So there were a lot of room for them to work, in the government or in any I don't know, toute entreprise, parce que c'était naissant, c'était nouveau, il y avait de la place. Donc ils finissent d'étudier, ok, ils sont placés là, ils sont placés là, ils sont placés là. Et maintenant, pour nous, c'est un peu plus compliqué parce que c'est toujours les mêmes qui occupent ces postes-là. Donc déjà, il y a beaucoup plus de concurrence parce qu'on est nombreux. Et il n'y a pas assez de place pour nous parce que pour la plupart, ces mêmes personnes-là les occupent déjà. Donc, chez nous, c'est plus compétitif et ils ne comprennent pas forcément ça, que pour nous, c'est pas facile, c'est pas facile pour nous. Et en même temps, on est émancipés avec la technologie, avec les nouvelles générations. Il y a d'autres choses qui nous attirent qui sont pas forcément ce que eux ils veulent qu'on fasse et ils devraient comprendre qu'on puisse faire autre chose si on en a envie, du moment où on garde notre intégrité et notre dignité. Donc, pour moi, c'est très important que les parents puissent donner de l'espace aux enfants pour qu'ils puissent s'épanouir dans cette façon-là.
Je suis entièrement d'accord avec toi. Je pense qu'il commence à changer un peu en général.
Oui.
But speaking of that, parle-nous un peu de ton expérience avec Miss Canada, parce que Miss Guinée Canada, c'est vraiment le début, en quelque sorte, sur une plateforme beaucoup plus grande.
Ok, oui. Donc déjà, Miss Guinée Canada, c'est sûr que c'était la plus grande plateforme qui m'a été que j'ai pu expérimenter, si on veut. Mais avant ça, j'avais déjà 3 titres parce que j'avais participé à 3 autres concours, donc Miss Saint-Georges en 2009, Miss Kreisberg en 2011, et puis j'avais une fois à Moncton, on m'a poussé à faire Miss International Moncton qui regroupe toutes les nationalités de la ville estudiantine de Moncton. Et là aussi, j'ai gagné, j'ai représenté la Guinée. Donc après ça, je me souviens que dès que je suis arrivée au Canada, on a commencé à me contacter sur Facebook et à contacter mes sœurs pour me convaincre de participer à Miss Guinée parce qu'ils trouvaient que j'avais un bon profil, etc. Mais pour moi, dans ma logique, je viens d'arriver au Canada, j'ai besoin d'abord de m'établir, d'observer par moi-même, voir comment les choses se passent avant de me lancer dans quoi que ce soit. Donc, dans toute chose, je me disais, il faut d'abord que je m'adapte d'une certaine façon, que je vois un peu comment ça fonctionne. Donc, je me suis dit non, sur le coup, je ne peux pas, mais peut-être l'année prochaine. Donc, je me souviens, c'était en 2013 qu'on me proposait ça. Donc, j'ai attendu 1 an, le temps de bien m'habituer, d'être à l'aise avec moi-même et puis de tout ce qui se passait autour de moi. Puis en 2014, je devais déménager à Ottawa parce que mes sœurs avaient fini à l'université de Moncton, donc ça me tentait plus de rester là-bas toute seule. J'ai transféré à l'université d'Ottawa, donc je me suis dit, OK, il y a Miss Guinée qui va se passer cet été-là avant que tu commences tes cours en automne. Donc je me suis inscrite en 2014, j'ai participé et Dieu merci, j'ai gagné. Et c'était une très belle expérience. Les filles étaient courtoises, étaient gentilles. Parce que moi, je le fais par passion, je le fais parce que j'aime, je le fais pas parce que je me dis, ouais, je vais encore gagner, tu vois. C'est vraiment parce que ça me plaît de le faire. Et c'était une très belle expérience pour moi. Et ensuite, après, je me suis dit, tu sais quoi, j'ai envie d'aller à Miss Monde. C'est ça mon projet. La prochaine fois que je vais participer la prochaine fois que je vais participer à un concours de beauté, c'est vraiment pour aller représenter la Guinée au plus haut niveau parce que je sais que j'ai les aptitudes nécessaires pour vraiment mettre la Guinée on the map, si on veut. Pas par arrogance, en toute humilité, je sais que j'en suis capable. Donc, pourquoi ne pas donner ça à mon pays si j'en ai l'opportunité? Donc, je me suis dit, OK, pour pouvoir faire ça, je dois participer à Miss Guinée. Et c'est ce qui m'a amené à participer à Miss Guinée en 2019, puisque avant ça, quand je me suis inscrite, malheureusement, il y avait une suspension. Donc, dès que la suspension s'est levée, je me suis dit, OK, je vais y aller, je vais foncer pour pouvoir faire ça. Et les expériences sont différentes d'un pays à un autre, d'un concours à un autre. Mais moi, ce que je peux dire aux filles qui veulent participer au concours de beauté, c'est qu'il faut s'assurer que vous le faites pour les bonnes raisons. Et ces bonnes raisons-là, c'est que vous le faites parce que vous voulez le faire, parce que ça vous apporte quelque chose, pas forcément de matériel, mais ça vous grandit en tant que personne. Vous aimez le faire, donc vous le faites. Vous avez des raisons autres que, OK, si je gagne, je vais gagner une couronne, je vais gagner tel montant d'argent, parce qu'en soi, c'est pas ça, c'est des responsabilités, tu es regardé par tout le monde, tes moindres faits et gestes sont scrutinized, I guess, sont regardés à la loupe. Et du coup, tu sacrifies un peu de ta personne, tu
Contrôle ton
vois.
titre, hein?
C'est ça, tu sacrifies un peu de ta personne et puis après, on va pas se mentir, les concours de beauté viennent avec des stéréotypes. Il y a plusieurs personnes qui pensent différentes choses de ça qui ne sont pas forcément des choses positives. Donc, il y a cette partie-là également qui peut entacher sur ta personne. Donc, il faut avoir le dos large and have a thick skin to be able to go through that sans que ça ne te froisse parce que tu sais au fond de toi qui tu es, ce que tu représentes et quelles sont tes limites parce que tu es dans ta dignité, ton intégrité. Donc, c'est vraiment, pour moi, si tu as envie de le faire parce que tu aimes le faire ou tu as un objectif à atteindre. Moi, mon objectif, c'était aller à Miss Monde. C'est ça mon objectif. C'est pour ça que j'ai participé et en même temps, j'aime faire ça. Si vous avez un objectif également et que vous pensez pouvoir le faire, franchement, faites-le. Il n'y a aucun mal. D'ailleurs, c'est de belles expériences à avoir, je trouve.
That's amazing.
That,
Long
Thank you.
story short, just have a goal and do it
Yep.
for the right reasons.
Exactly. Do it for the right reasons.
right. While you're in Guinea currently, are you sort of offering any opportunities to any like little girl that's looking to get into modeling, trying to like just help them out, mentor them, or anything like that you want to talk about?
I'm over
Yeah,
here
actually.
looking for
No, you should teach me. You know better. Look at you slaying. I do get a couple of messages, like, but ça date un peu depuis Miss Guinée, Canada, depuis 2014. J'ai souvent des gens qui m'écrivent sur les réseaux sociaux ou whatever, ou qui essaient de me contacter parce qu'ils ont besoin de conseils ou ils ont besoin d'être mentorés ou quelque chose comme ça. Et moi, je le fais avec plaisir parce que je me dis que si tu prends ton temps pour me demander quelque chose, qui je suis pour ne pas te le donner, surtout que ça part d'une bonne intention en fait. Donc du coup, il y a beaucoup de gens comme ça avec qui je parle, mais je fais pas grand-chose en vrai. C'est juste des communications pour qu'elles soient confiantes en elles-mêmes, qu'elles aient une confiance de soi, parce qu'au fond, ce qui importe, c'est être heureux. Tout ce qu'on fait dans la vie, c'est ça qui importe. Donc, si tu fais ça et que tu n'es pas à l'aise avec toi-même, ça peut venir avec des conséquences fâcheuses. Donc, l'important, c'est non seulement de savoir qui tu es, d'être confiant avec qui tu es, like avec toi-même, tu es confortable à être qui tu es, et en même temps, tu vas le faire parce que tu vas t'amuser. C'est ça, c'est pas sorcier. Regarde les gagnantes des concours. Oh, excusez-moi. Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Ouais,
Oui.
on t'entend maintenant.
La connexion, oui. Et si on regarde les gagnantes des différents concours de beauté, Miss Monde, Miss Univers, Miss France, Miss Guinée, etc., chacune a un profil différent. Il n'y a pas un prototype qui dit OK, il faut être comme ça pour gagner. Donc, en soi, il faut juste savoir ce que toi, tu apportes à la table, quelle est ta valeur ajoutée, qui tu es, qu'est-ce que tu représentes, et puis être confiant dans ça et puis participer. Donc, c'est vraiment, moi, c'est plus de... C'est pas, OK, achète ça, fais ci, fais ça. Non, c'est ta personne, en fait. Like, you have to be good with who you are. And we talk about these things because for me, mental health is really important. Like, ça, si tu n'es pas, si tu ne t'acceptes pas toi-même, tu ne peux pas espérer que d'autres personnes t'acceptent. Donc, c'est vraiment ce travail-là que je fais avec les personnes qui me contactent et qui me disent souvent, oh, j'ai envie d'être comme toi. Ma première réponse est non. Il faut être mieux, il faut être la meilleure version de toi-même, tu vois? Like, you can't be like me. I cannot be like you. I'm not perfect, you know? Like, you might have things that I don't have that I would want to have, you know? So it's like you have to accept who you are, love who you are, and just build up like that. Like, that's the type of conversation that I have with them.
It's all about being the best version of yourself, right? Like, we're all
Yes.
unique in so many ways, and self
Exactly.
love is like, I find extremely important. So I'm so glad
It's a must.
Because
It
it
is a
doesn't
must.
matter how many trophies you win, if you don't love yourself and you don't believe in yourself, you're always gonna want more. And you're always,
It wouldn't
yeah, I need to
matter.
move to the next level, but like that's not where the satisfaction is.
It isn't. Like you're pursuing something that is not even real, you know. And it's not, especially in this day and age, like the society where il y a beaucoup de superficiel, beaucoup de comparaisons, beaucoup de, OK, il y a un idéal, il y a un standard de beauté ou il y a un standard de réussite. It's not real. C'est utopique en fait, you know. So you have to find your own perfect. That's it. Like don't compare yourself to others.
Actually, I like that you brought that up because I know I saw on your IG the other day there was someone who compared you and another girl from Guinea, and you kind of like pull it out and said, "Hey, don't compare the two of us. We are two different type of people." Talk about that a little bit,
Yeah.
how that came about, and why you thought or felt like you needed to speak on that to make sure that you're not being compared to another chick in Guinea. Sorry, another lady
Yeah,
in Guinea.
actually, it's not even like first she's not from Guinea, she's from Senegal. So I have these pages that would take my pictures and post them. I don't sometimes I would notice, sometimes I would not notice because they don't ask me, which I find pretty irritating. But what can we do is the internet. So they do these things where they get you here and then they post another girl and then they're trying to do comparisons and it's like you have to vote or whatever. But I do understand them because they're trying to come from a good place. You know, I think that they don't have that intentions. They're just used to it and no one never ever told them not to do it. So they tagged me on it. So thank God I saw it. But what I did before I actually posted it in public, because I felt like it would be hypocrite, I talked to them first. I DM'd them. I was like, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate like the love, whatever. But I'm not into je suis pas dans les comparaisons entre femmes. We all are beautiful the way we are. And I do understand that you're coming from a good intention, but I would like if you do not do that anymore, especially not with me, because I feel like it's not appropriate. And they were very receptive. They apologized and then they said, oh, thank you so much for this feedback and we're going to remove it. But I had already screenshotted the thing. So they removed it. But then I sat in and I was like, you know what? That's something that I have to put out there for other people in case they want to do it, you know, whether it's with me or with other people, because no one wants to be compared with someone. Imagine it's not even who wins or who loses. It's just like what's the point, you know? Like, what are you going to gain from comparing someone to someone else, you know? So je suis partie encore, je les ai écrits pour leur dire, écoutez, je vous l'ai dit en privé, mais ce que je vais faire, c'est que je vais le mettre en public, mais je vais enlever votre nom pour ne pas que ça vous porte préjudice, juste parce que j'ai un message à faire passer. They're like, okay, cool. So I went and then I put the screenshot and I made sure that they cannot see the name of the account that did it. And then I wrote down there because I felt like other people needed to know in case they want to do it in the future, because that's what people do out here, trying to compare people. And I feel like it's insane. So that's what I did. And I feel pretty good about it because I just don't understand why, like, if a little girl sees that, she will feel like, okay, I have to be like this to be beautiful or to be acceptable or to be considered like a real person, which is not the truth, you know? So I just felt like it was my duty to just put it out there so anybody can see and ils peuvent l'interpréter à leur façon, but it was very important for me.
Yeah, Mariam, if you don't mind real quick, I want to ask these two questions before I forget. Can you summarize in your own words, sort of like what's the procedure to really be a model of your caliber? And then talk about a little bit if you have personally faced any discrimination in the modeling industry.
For me, like before, maybe there was like a standard, you know, but nowadays it's getting more and more open. I personally had anxieties and a lot of bad feelings. I won't say depression, but I was at a point of my life, I'm being as honest as I can right now, I was so vulnerable because I felt like, okay, I wanted to do this. Now I'm not as young, you know, and I feel like these things you have to start pretty young to be accepted, whatever. I felt like I'm an old lady, you know, which is, there's nothing bad about being an old lady, but I meant for what I wanted to do,
to tell people how young you actually are. So if you're an old lady, I guess the rest of us are dying. Yeah, we're dead.
No, I felt for the modeling industry, you have to start pretty young. And I felt like, c'est comme si j'avais dépassé le coche. And I felt like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. So I started to feel like, damn, and I'm sorry to curse. Started feeling really bad about myself because I had in the past opportunities that I let down. I was like, oh, I'm starting to regret this, you know? But now that it's very open, I feel like if you really want to do it and you have thick skin, because you will be criticized, you will be like looked at. Sometimes, most of the time, they will tell you no, you don't fit the criteria, it's this and that. But you really have to be accepting and not take these comments as like, you know, the truth. Not take these comments as, okay, they think that of me, so it means that that's who I am. No. So I think it all comes back to the confidence that you have in who you are, and you know, be solid on that. And as for I don't remember the second part of your question.
It was pretty
but
much.
it's like anybody who wants to do it, honestly, I feel like you should at least give it a try. Because you don't want to wake up in 10 years and be like, oh, I wish I had done that. You have to try it. What's the worst thing? Worst case scenario, they tell you no. Like it's not gonna, you know, that's it. It's just a no. It's not gonna change who you are. It's not gonna do anything. It's just like, okay, you tried it and it didn't work out. If you want, you can try again harder. But if you feel like you don't want to do it anymore, then switch and do something else that you're passionate about. So that's pretty much it. And for me, I felt like discriminated in a way, but it's more for the pageant, that the modeling thing. It was more, I felt like an outsider in my own country, you know? So that was very hard for me because I grew up here. I always consider myself as like a Guinean, but because I had studied elsewhere, I came back here. I wanted to do this thing. Some people, I would not say all, starting to say, oh, elle vient du Canada, elle pense qu'elle va venir prendre la couronne, whatever. And then it's like, okay, I'm not from here, I'm not from there, I'm not like your people, I'm not their people, then where do I fit, you know? And I really felt like I didn't belong anywhere, which is pretty sad because you're born and raised somewhere and then they can't even accept you for who you are. And because j'allais faire 2 heures dans un pays, ça veut dire que tu es une étrangère. So that was really tough. But, you know, some things like that, but at the end of the day, what's meant for you is gonna find you. So
How did you overcome that though?
How did I what?
How did you overcome that struggle, that challenge?
That challenge was really, you know, at some point, and I was like, wow, that's God's will, you know? If that crown was meant for me, it would have found me, you know, like no doubt. So there's nothing that I could have done to change that, you know. And it's like, Dieu est grand, like tout ce que Dieu fait est bon. So maybe it was made to be like this for better things to come. So that's, as soon as I started thinking that way, I was good, you know. I was good. So that
a lot of that like stems from people's jealousy, right? Like when because you were coming in with a crown already from a very well established system and a very well established country, and I felt like people wanted to they wanted to find reasons to hate you because it wasn't going to be because you weren't good enough, because everybody knew, right, that was there. So it was like, oh yeah, well she's from somewhere else. But one thing that I would go back to is that, like, tu as un peu parlé des responsabilités qui viennent avec modeling, pageantry, and all that stuff. Dis-nous un peu ça ressemble à quoi? Because I feel like a lot of time people think you just look cute and you walk on stage and that's it. But you do a ton for your community.
Yeah.
Tell us about the responsibilities in that world. Speaking whichever language you're comfortable in. But I like to know more about that.
Okay, so basically, for me, I think it depends on the personality, you know, like the person that you are. People do pageants or anything like that for different reasons. For me, I grew up in a family where, like, giving back it's a norm, you know? So I grew up seeing my grandparents like that, my parents, my uncle, my aunt, and it's like, that's just what you know. So it's a part of me, it's a part of my DNA. So for me, giving back or helping or being there for people, it's not even about helping them. In a way, it's helping me, because as much as I have an impact in your life, they're impacting mine even in a bigger scale, you know, because that's just how it is. That's like human nature, is that's our humanity. So for me, pageantry or not, I do my best for, I mean, as much as I can for people around me, or even people that I don't know. I'm not a saint, but at least I just want to impact at least one person, you know? I feel like that's better than nothing.
Right.
So for me, pour moi, l'humanitaire, c'est vraiment important, because that makes, c'est ce qui fait de nous des humains, en fait. On est obligé de s'entraider, tu vois. On est obligé de se respecter. Il faut qu'on s'accepte. Il faut aussi qu'on s'entraide, parce que malheureusement, il y a des inégalités. C'est comme ça que la vie, elle est faite. Et si toi, tu as la possibilité de rendre la vie de quelqu'un d'autre meilleure, ne serait-ce que pour une seconde, pourquoi ne pas le faire? Et du coup, en dehors des concours de beauté ou etc., je fais beaucoup d'actions dans ce sens-là, que ce soit en Guinée, en Asie ou même en Amérique. Donc, ce qui fait que lorsque je participe à des concours de beauté, c'est un bonus, parce que c'est déjà en moi. Et normalement, une Miss en titre, c'est le social, en fait. Il faut que tu aies un projet humanitaire. Il faut que parce que tu n'es pas juste là pour être jolie. Des jolies filles, il y en a des milliers, tu vois. Il y en a on est toutes jolies de toute façon. Donc, c'est quoi ta valeur ajoutée? Qu'est-ce que tu apportes au monde? Quelle est cette influence-là que tu as? Ça peut ne pas être prendre $1 et donner à quelqu'un. Ça peut être écouter quelqu'un. Ça peut être, je sais pas moi, aider quelqu'un à traverser, ou avoir une conversation avec quelqu'un qui a envie de parler avec toi. Ou ça peut être quelque chose de plus, je sais pas moi, superficiel, on va dire faire une photo, parce que ça peut représenter beaucoup pour quelqu'un et pour toi, c'est rien. Donc, pourquoi est-ce que tu ne le ferais pas? Donc, je pense que pour moi, une Miss, c'est d'abord un être humain. C'est quelqu'un qui pense non seulement à soi-même, mais aussi aux autres. Parce que si tu n'arrives pas à t'accepter, bah, c'est très difficile d'accepter les autres. Donc, c'est vraiment un travail à l'interne que tu vas refléter, qui va se refléter sur les autres. Et c'est d'une grande responsabilité, parce qu'en soi, si tout le monde te regarde, tu n'as techniquement pas droit à l'erreur.
Yeah.
Tout le monde te regarde, on te
fait
fait dire des choses que tu n'as pas dites, on te met dans des cases, ou par exemple, en Guinée, dès que tu dis un petit truc, il y a quelque chose, c'est fini, on te met dans des sauces bizarres. Donc, il faut être sérieux, il faut être assidu, il faut être une personne qui se respecte et qui a de l'intégrité et de la dignité surtout. Et puis, il faut savoir penser aux autres, c'est le plus important. Et ça va au-delà des histoires de Miss ou de top modèle ou de mannequins. Pour moi, c'est ça notre humanité. So that's pretty much it. Like, you just have to be good with yourself and good with others.
Mais disons, de tous les projets que tu as eu à entreprendre, lequel t'a touché le plus, te marque le plus? Like, which one is like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done for anyone, any community, of all the projects you worked on?
Oh my God, there are so many things that I was so happy about, because I felt real joy in people's eyes, like especially kids. So if I had to do like si je devais faire un classement, I'd say that there are, I guess, two. There's one in Guinea, because obviously it's my home country, and then there's another one that I did in China, which really impacted me for maybe different reasons. So the one in Guinea, une fois, on a fait une activité avec, on a pris 3 orphelinats de la ville, and like we went and rented a bus, like Greyhound buses, like really big ones. So we went and picked up like kids at these 3 different orphanages, and we took them out, because they're always in, you know, it's like they live in this world, and it's like, okay, they're orphans, so they don't belong in the world, like, you know, they're being, I guess, treated differently, you know? So we just felt like they needed to see out there and feel like, okay, it's not because I'm an orphan that I cannot live in society and do great. So we took them to Le Jardin des Autos, which the First Lady kindly gave us access to. So we could do the whole tous les manèges for free, because it's under her foundation. And so we went there, we had food, we had activities, but on les a fait faire les manèges, Mais au début, d'abord, on les a, enfin, obviously food, and then afterwards, like there were books, because for me, education is really important, and they needed to read. So we gave them like books to read. On a fait une séance de lecture. Et après ça, like the best ones won prizes, which were des fournitures scolaires, etc. Et on les a fait découvrir du slam. Il y a des slammers qui sont venus pour faire du slam avec eux, etc. So they know more of the world, you know. And and then we danced, we laughed. So it was a mix of recreation and studying, you know, outside their comfort zone. So they know that if you want whatever you want to do, whoever you want to be, you can be that, you can do that. You just have to give yourself the means. You just have to study hard and, you know, put yourself in a position to succeed. Being an orphan doesn't prevent you from being a successful person in life, you know? So I
really interesting for me because those kids were like sweethearts, you know? And doing that in my home country was really a very good moment. And the other one is in China because it's like, I don't know these people. We don't speak the same language. I go there, they cook for me. We understand each other in a way, and they were very loving, and the kids there too. So I think you discover who you are in spending time with people and helping people, the life of service, you know?
That's a phenomenal message. Like, you know, you discover who you are, spending time with others, like a life of service. I think people sometimes shorten this, and a lot of times we think service is, oh, we're helping someone else. But how about what you're doing for yourself? What's happening in you when you're giving back, when you're providing for these individuals and stuff? So I think that's a great message to share. And I'm so glad to have watched you grow into the woman that you are becoming. I cannot to be out Miss Mond yelling and screaming and acting mad ghetto. And
I know you
so proud of it.
For a quick story, when I was doing Miss Guinea Canada, this lady came all the way from the state with t-shirts, my name on, and everything that I needed. And she was like, they were screaming so bad, and the jury was like, if you guys don't stop screaming, we will disqualify her.
Like, I feel like it was bad. It was bad. Probably next time we'll be nicer and more mindful because other people are participating, but then we were loud.
I know, like the support is crazy. That's what keeps me going. Like, I can't do no wrong in their eyes. Like, they have me. Like, they got my back through anything. Wow, I need to keep on going. I need to.
You got it. You have to. To go on that same topic, I wanted to ask you, you know, currently living in Guinea, there's a lot of disinformation about COVID-19. And obviously, as a humanitarian person, you've been doing and giving back a lot in Guinea currently with different foundations and whatnot. Are there any stories that you have with respect to giving out masks? I know you've talked to me about some of them before in the past, but any like stories you want to tell and like informations you want to put out?
Yeah, it's actually very, I'm sorry, but it's crazy. It is insane because some people still think that it is a joke, you know? Some people still think that this is a big lie, c'est un complot, it's just some way to control us, whatever. I've heard that in the markets, in the local markets. My sister told me she heard that in the markets, you know? Women out there saying like, oh, they just want us to wear these masks, but they're trying to control us. But like, I don't know. They think it's a scheme, you know, which is not the case. It's very real. People are suffering from Corona. So I had this time where I went to Marché Niger because I was partnering up with an organization called COVID-19 Relief Guinea, like friends of mine that came together to do things. So on allait distribuer des masques artisanaux aux femmes et aux hommes des marchés because we felt like they are so vulnerable, you know, like they're the first people there. And then avec les activités, les gens qui partent acheter la nourriture tous les jours au marché, they're very, ils sont très exposés, you know. So we went there with our masks and we were giving them. And they were literally shouting at us, hey, whatever. And they're very aggressive, you know? And I felt like, oh, but I'm giving it to you. I'm not, like, you're not entitled to receive it, you know? It's not like something that you. I'm trying to give it to you. But then, okay, cool. So we give them the mask because they were so in a hurry. We were gonna give it to everyone, but they were so in a hurry to get it that they were literally being aggressive. So afterwards, we gave, and it's really big because c'est 9 secteurs, so it was like a lot. And afterwards, as soon as you give them, you see them put them aside. And I was like, what? I was like, first of all, I come all the way here to give this to you. You insult me because you haven't received it. Now you got it and you want to put it aside. You're not even wearing it. I was like, no, that has to be a joke. I got really upset. I was like, you don't realize that you're putting yourself at risk and you're putting other people at risk because people come by from you, you know? And that those people go back to their families. They're like, cook these things and it just spreads, you know? So you have to be mindful of others. If you don't care about yourself, at least care for other people, you know? So that was really an interesting,
Yeah, no, that's
an
funny.
interesting story. And the only reason why most people wear the mask is because they don't want to pay 30,000 francs Guinean. Because if the police sees you without your mask on, obviously you gotta pay, you know? So
Absolutely.
it's very
But it's
scary.
like we're laughing at it right now, but like it's also sad at the same time, right? Like
Yeah.
it takes so much to like the lack of information and the lack of, and just how tough it is when there isn't like education around this, right?
So basically, j'ai fait cette campagne de sensibilisation pour COVID, like as soon as it started here, and like on a fait des panneaux dans toute la ville avec Corona Ntondi. It was my way of, you know, giving back in a way because it's one thing to give away like kits and stuff, but it's like you have to educate people, you know, through like social media, TV, or whatever it is. If si c'est des banderoles ou des panneaux dans la ville, whatever it may be, like you gotta do what you gotta do. So I did that, and lately I've been seeing some of them billboards being ils ont été vandalisés. So people literally don't want to see that. So they went, ils ont enlevé mon visage, ils ont enlevé le message, ils ont enlevé like everything. And I was like, wow, you have time. Like you don't want to know something, so you won't let other people know these things. Like it's important, you know. Is we have to know because the most valuable thing that we have is knowledge, and then we decide to do whatever we want to do with it, but we have the right to know. So people are very, I think they're scared, so they react to it. But we have to know Corona is real. We have to protect ourselves. We have to respect others' safety. We have to do everything in our power to stop the spread because it's messing with our lives, directly or indirectly.
Right. And
Coronavirus, shit is real.
yo, holla at Cardi B. She'll stop in Guinea.
I'm
Um,
sure if he tells them they will stop. If we
yeah,
tell them wear a mask, they will wear their mask.
yeah, yeah. To keep going on that same topic with respect to knowledge, right? Knowledge is a big thing, and you know, with this podcast, we're super focused on trying to educate, bring down knowledge to the youth, right? But at the same time, dissect a little bit, especially because you know you live in there. We've had these conversations before in the past where the Guinean mentality is a little different, right? People, especially who live back there, they kind of like
Yeah.
they're stuck in their own ways and they're not willing to go look for change or go, you know, be different to
Yeah.
try something new. So, talk to us a little bit about what your experience has been for someone like you who's pretty much traveled the world. Talk to us a little bit about what your experience has been working with the youth in Guinea and how you think they can help themselves be successful in their respective ways.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not even gonna lie to you, it was very hard. Like I always thought that, you know, it's Guinea, it's my country. I go back there and boom, everything, you know what I mean? But coming back here, it was very hard to readapt in a way because I always thought that I knew the country. But what I've learned in the past year is is a crazy amount of things that I've learned in the past year is way more than what I've known for 17 years that I was living here. So it's really, you know, there's a system, there's a routine, and it's quite hard to navigate through that, especially when you come out here fresh with ideas, whatever, because you're disturbing, you know? and people usually don't like to be disturbed, which is a shame because to achieve greatness, you have to be disturbed, you know? Like,
You have to
it's
step
like,
out your comfort zone.
yeah, exactly. You have to go out, you have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to listen to new ideas and help each other out. That's how we build up. But it was quite difficult for me. And I think what will save us is education. Once again, you know, it's knowledge. It's just learning new ways. It's the mentalities. Like you have to start with the youngins at school, like teach them a way of life, teach them, okay, this is good, this is not good, and really être vraiment réaliste et pragmatique sur les choses qu'on enseigne à nos enfants, parce que, écoute, c'est vrai que l'école, c'est important, mais on doit nous enseigner la vie également à l'école. It's not like, okay, 1 plus 1 égale 2, and then you go out there, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? Should I do 1 plus 1 equal 2? You know, like, there are so many things in life that we don't know, and we don't really necessarily learn at school, and it impacts us as a society, which is general, but out here in Guinea, we definitely need like that. Parce que c'est la ressource humaine qui fait un pays. On a beau avoir 10 milliards de tonnes de je ne sais quoi, de quelles ressources minières ou ressources du sol et du sous-sol, if we don't have the knowledge, the brain, and like the human resources to be able to de développer ça, d'exploiter ça, etc., it will stay there and someone else will come and pick it up, you know? So if we want to move forward, we have to invest in our education. It's very important. That's our savior.
Good, good. And my last one, or like my other question would be, you know, also being there, how are the politicians, or what is pretty much, I guess I will say this, what is your message to the politicians that are currently in position to really make a change in most of the youth's lives back home in Guinea, and also other organizations like the FNDC, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of those movements going on over there. Not being there, what is your message to them as an influencer living in Guinea currently?
First of all, moi, je suis très apolitique because I feel like, you know, there are certain things where you don't necessarily have to put it out there, your point of view, in a way that it's personal, you know, politics, religion, and other stuff is very personal things. Donc, je me prononce pas souvent sur les sujets politiques, but si j'ai quelque chose à dire de façon générale, c'est que as a person who is in a position like that, you're being listened to, you're being heard, you know, you're being followed, you're being admired in a way, or, you know, like you are in a position where people are looking at you and will basically do what you want to do if they are behind you, you know, like if they're really motivated and following you. So you have to do your best to be the best example possible. You have to think about those people' interest, you know what I mean? Because as a community, first, like you are the voice of those people, you know, they're lending you their voices. So so anyone who is in that position has to do whatever they can to do justice to those people, to make those people proud, and to think about their safety, to think about how they can be better in their communities, you know? So for me, if I have a message to address to anyone in politics or in a position where they can literally bring change into someone's life, is to not take that for granted, is to appreciate the fact that all these people are behind you, following you, and to do your best to make their lives better, you know, because they're choosing you, they are giving you their voices to change, like to make their life better in a way, you know. If they didn't want no change, everyone would be sitting in their own, but they need that change, they need that revolution in a way. If I say revolution, it's like, c'est une question de développement peut-être même personnel et de sa communauté, you know. Like, on a constamment besoin de changement, on a constamment besoin d'amélioration. Donc, je pense que il faut être dans cette optique-là d'apporter du positif dans la vie de tout un chacun et puis impacter positivement notre société. So whoever you are, whatever you do, if you want to be in a position like that, then please don't forget those who supported you, you know? Like, don't leave them behind because they are the reason why you're where you are. If there's no one supporting you, you ain't going nowhere.
That's a fact.
Que ce soit dans les pageantry, concours de beauté, que ce soit dans les politiques, peu importe le domaine le domaine dans lequel tu es, si tu es une personnalité publique ou quelqu'un vraiment qui nécessite des voix pour pouvoir atteindre ton objectif, s'il y a personne pour te back up, tu peux aller nulle part.
Yeah.
Tu peux vraiment aller nulle part. C'est l'humain en fait, c'est l'humain. Il faut qu'on s'entraide, il faut qu'on s'accepte, qu'on s'aime et qu'on pense à avoir un impact considérable sur la vie d'autrui. C'est comme ça qu'on peut avancer. Si on ne s'entraide pas, ça peut pas marcher. So that's what I had to say.
It's really interesting to me that you mentioned and you know, putting it out there que tu es apolitique, because pendant le procès de Miss Guinea, you actually accused when you had a very general, let's get together, let's do the right thing, Guineans, let's support whatever, very general message about democracy. You were actually accused of being an undercover FNDC. And I know because I'm a hardcore FNDC member, I do that all day.
Don't worry.
Tell us why. How did people misinterpret your message? Why can't people just view it as basic as it was? It's just about Guineans coming together as one. And
I think people misinterpreted it because malheureusement, tout est politisé dans notre pays, you know? Donc même si ça n'a rien à voir avec la politique, tout est ramené à la politique. Un match de foot est ramené à la politique, un concours de beauté est ramené à la politique, like whatever, which is not necessarily the case. C'est parce qu'en fait, c'est tout ce dont on parle. You know, quand on est dans les cafés, etc., les gens parlent politique. Ils parlent football ou politique. C'est faux. Tu vois? Chacun veut mettre son avis en avant, etc. Donc, tout ce que tu fais doit être interprété sous cet aspect-là, alors que honnêtement, pour moi, ce n'était pas le cas. Pour moi, c'était très général. Pour moi, c'était d'abord après, je pense que la raison pour laquelle on nous a catégorisés, parce que moi, c'était FNDC, puis l'une, c'était Amoul Lanfé, l'autre, c'était à la Haute-Agui, je sais plus, l'autre, c'était quoi même, l'autre, c'était, on l'a mis dans le parti de la mouvance. En fait, ils nous ont, toutes les trois, chacune a été mise dans un camp, pas nécessairement représentatif de qui on est. En tout cas, ceux qu'on a voulu mettre en avant ce jour-là, même si on a nos préférences politiques, mais je pense que dans des endroits comme ça ou dans des moments comme ça, c'est l'unité. Donc, il faut être très, très neutre d'une certaine façon, tu vois, parce que tu veux toucher à toute la population, que la personne adhère à ton parti ou pas. Donc, tu veux impacter cette personne-là. Pour moi, c'était très difficile quand j'ai vu ça, parce que je me suis dit, on ne comprend pas. Moi, j'ai parlé du fait que j'étais très fière des Guinéens parce qu'ils avaient réussi pour une fois à revendiquer ce qu'ils ont envie de revendiquer sans pour autant qu'il n'y ait de mort. Pour moi, la vie humaine, elle est sacrée. Dieu donne la vie, donc c'est important, il faut valoriser ça. Et si on arrive pour une fois à sortir, pour ceux qui sont sortis à revendiquer ce qu'ils revendiquent, sans pour autant qu'il y ait des brutalités, c'est un exploit, on est d'accord.
Ouais, et pour ajouter, c'est comme un message qui va dans les deux sens, ok? Parce que il y a l'État qui accepte finalement d'organiser ces marches pacifiques et de jouer.
Exactement. Pour moi, c'est
aussi qui le font. Je sais pas
comment. Pour moi, c'est un salut pour tout le monde parce que justement, cette marche-là, elle était autorisée. Donc, il y a déjà le devoir de l'État qui est rempli et les personnes qui ont voulu. Donc, pour moi, déjà, ça commence dans une ambiance de paix. Donc, déjà, ça, c'est à saluer. Et deuxièmement, le fait qu'il n'y ait pas eu de perte en vie humaine, c'est un salut en tant qu'être humain, pas en tant que Saramba ou en tant que, je sais
Stéphane
pas
Dessay.
moi, oui, peu importe le parti pour lequel tu es, ça importe peu. On est tous des êtres humains et on doit être content qu'il n'y ait pas de perte en vie humaine. Moi, c'est cette chose-là que j'ai voulu saluer et c'est cette chose-là que j'ai voulu mettre en avant en disant que on est tous des êtres humains, on doit tous s'accepter, se respecter et justement vivre en paix. Donc, c'est plus des messages généraux comme ça que j'ai passés pour qu'on comprenne que peu importe nos différences, au fond, on est tous pareils, on est tous les mêmes. Que tu sois guinéen ou chinois ou américain, on est tous des êtres humains. Moi, c'est dans ce sens-là que je parlais, mais malheureusement, il y a eu une certaine incompréhension, mais chacun comprend comme il a envie de comprendre. Tu peux pas, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You cannot help that. What you can do is say what you have to say with the intentions that you had and stay solid in who you are and your motives, So that's pretty much it.
I agree. One last question. What is tu as beaucoup d'amis qui vivent ailleurs. What is your message to all those friends? To pretty much, what's your call to action for all those friends who currently aren't living in Guinea, based on what's going on in Guinea, what you think they can bring to Guinea personally? What's your general message to them? And also, I would like for you to use this last round as kind of like give a shout out to any organizations that's currently in Guinea helping out, or any friends or people that you have a relationship with that are helping and doing big things down, over there.
Yeah, so if I had to say anything to anyone that I know across the world, I would just, first of all, tell them to do what makes them happy. And second of all, not to forget who you are and where you're from, because it's very important to know where you're from in order to, grow as a person, So if there's anything you feel like you can do to help out the country or to help out the community where you're from, I think you should not hesitate. But I also want to tell you, when I say you, is, the
I was like, what you mean?
I also want to tell you guys that you're not obligated to do anything you don't want to do, You only do it if you want to, because it's only when it's genuine that it's worth it, So if for you, not looking back and staying where you are that's what you want to do with your life, okay, do that. Nobody's going to blame you for anything. But if you feel like deep inside you have the urge to do something to help your country, then please don't be afraid, don't be discouraged, do so. Whatever it is, you don't even have to be here. You can find ways, this podcast, for example, if it's going to help people out and you're not even here, So there's no such thing as a small thing, as a small impact, So whatever you feel like you want to do and you can't do, please feel free to do so. If you want to come back, please come back. And I feel like maybe if you see it for yourself, then like there's something that will be, qui va se réveiller en vous, en fait. Parce que des fois, on oublie. Donc, c'est important de rester connecté à ses racines. C'est important de vouloir aider la communauté de laquelle on vient, parce qu'à la fin de la journée, si on ne le fait pas par nous-mêmes, c'est pas quelqu'un d'autre qui va venir le faire pour nous. So we really have to do our best to be the best that we can. That's what I wanted to say too.
It's our home and it's our responsibility to make it better.
Yes.
This was a phenomenal talk.
Hey, do the shout out.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to...
Did we help out?
Shout out to Bakar. Shout out to Maria Sano.
I'm talking about the organizations.
Yeah.
Hey,
there is this organization, il y a une ONG dont je suis la marraine, c'est vraiment des jeunes du lycée, de l'université qui se mettent ensemble et qui bossent hyper dur, et aller voir, ça m'encourage parce que je me dis, wow, quand j'étais au lycée, c'est vrai que je voulais bien aider, but I didn't find like a formal way to do so, and they're very engaged young kids. So I want to shout out to Children Need Help Organization, donc CNH ça s'appelle. Continuez à faire ce que vous faites, et puis Inch'Allah, on continuera à faire de grandes choses ensemble. And shout out aussi à Guinea Relief, COVID-19 Relief Guinea. qui aussi font un incroyable travail, des jeunes qui sont mis ensemble. Shout out à toute personne qui veut impacter son environnement de façon positive. And be blessed, do you, be you, and be happy.
Thank you.
Mariam, you have any last word?
This was amazing. I wish I can hug you right now. I miss you so much.
Okay, all right. Hold on now. Do you have any last word?
Me or
Tu as
you,
quelque chose?
Mariam?
Non, toi, Saran, tu as quelque chose d'autre à dire ou bien tu n'as rien d'autre à dire aux gens?
If I have, I don't know, si j'ai un autre truc, j'ai toujours quelque chose à dire. On ne t'a pas dit que dans ma famille,
Ça, c'était une mauvaise question. Hein?
Yeah, ouais, je pense que la dernière chose que j'ai à dire, si toutefois j'ai quelque chose à dire, c'est vraiment de prendre soin de nous et ayant de la considération pour la santé des autres, parce que le coronavirus, c'est une réalité. Donc, il faut qu'on fasse tout ce qu'on peut pour vraiment se protéger au mieux et puis protéger les autres de nous. Parce qu'à la fin de la journée, on traverse tout ça de façon commune en tant que, like, you know, la terre entière le vit. Donc, il faut qu'on se soutienne et puis qu'on traverse ça tous ensemble, Inch'Allah. Et que la vie, qu'on puisse faire les choses qu'on n'arrive pas à faire en ce moment qui puissent nous amener à nous améliorer en tant que société. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de choses qui sont freinées en ce moment. L'école, par exemple, ce qui est très importante. Et puis, il faut vraiment qu'on puisse aller de l'avant. Donc, c'est ça. Be safe, guys.
Well, Hasba, merci de venir dans l'émission. C'était très bien de te voir ici. Et puis, tu vois, notre français n'est pas mal. Hein?
Il est très bien.
You can't be the judge of that one.
Hey, let me kind of, let me...
Hey, moi-même, j'ai dû préparer que tu vois mon français. Tu sais, quand tu virgules là.
Yo,
Plaisir, franchement, c'était vraiment bien de parler, d'échanger sur ce sujet et tous ces sujets.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me the time to speak too, because I know when I start, it's hard for me to stop. Thank you for being great listening.
Yeah, I'm about to cut you off now.
Right, exactly.
Press cut.
That.
Chop.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Bye. You have to go to your birthday party, right? You're still putting it together.
Yeah, they're actually out there.
You do your thing. Thank you so much for joining
Make
us.
sure you send some cake, all right?
People, no, not a big birthday party. We're literally 5 people, okay? Distanciation sociale. Thank you.
Hey, send some birthday cake, all right? I'm always
Okay.
about the food. You feel me? If there's any like leftover regret, don't forget about that either. You.
On se comprend. See you. Nice chatting with
I
you.
love you.
Peace out.
Say hello to Tantong and Tanti and everybody over there. Gros bisous.
Okay. I will tell them. Love you guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.
Peace out. Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out.